wait a minute. I apologize because the open. Uh, um, I spent way too much time on it, so I appreciate it. How cold is it there? Like in my room, it is 74 degrees. It's 37 degrees outside of my room on the other side of the window. Yeah, I'm back on. I left it off there for just a second because listen, I am so. Have you ever had that deal where I really felt like I sucked in a bug in my left nostril, and now it's just like irritating the fool out of me? I was sitting here a while ago, and my nose is just dripping. The cat was looking at me like, "Do we need to call an ambulance? 911? What is the deal?" So yeah, I've got post nasal drip. I'm pretty sure that that is the case, and what we're looking at. Now listen. It made the rounds today. There was this huge deal that took the rounds, and there is a video of a picture of a guy who was out in the snowfall. And I went through this once before, but this dude out there in a jacket and everything, he's got these really cool-looking visor deal on his face there. And there were so many questions. If you have some sort of a line that would go with this. Was he not tall enough to ride the runaway mine cars? Which, for anybody who doesn't know anything about Six Flags, that's probably not going to fly. Was he getting ready to go down the bunny slope, but he got nervous and froze? He's probably frozen there, so probably one of those things too as well. And down deer hunting and fell asleep, and he's still waiting for the deer to come by. Who knows? The Apollo Family Restaurant is apparently, I don't know, they're probably not open, I would think. At this point, they're not open. At least, why would they be open at this point? And the other thing that we were watching there, too. Now, we got to get right into the forecast here because this is what's going to be changing as we go through some time into the next several days. We're watching the entirety of what is ahead now for us, which is there's a ton of snowfall that's out there on the ground now into the Orchard Knob area. I said this last night. It's not Orchard Knob. I apologize. If you're from Orchard Park and Orchard Knob is some kind of slang that you don't like to hear, that's going to be my bad. So, anyway, Orchard Park, New York, 77 inches officially. Hamburg at 73 inches. That went too fast. Let me back it up here for just a second to show you. Hamburg Natural Bridge. That's further to the north. That's over in the Watertown Fetch area. There in Fort Drum, New York at 57 inches. Carthage, 31. Watertown, 44-ish and counting. There's still more falling in some of these places, so they're getting those ready to go. And it's going to be very, very difficult. Now, look, the other thing about this is that, all right, let's say we got 10 to 1 in our ratio. If you got 60 inches of snowfall, you're looking at a huge water equivalent here. I mean, the water equivalent to that's going to be super duper high. So as it melts, if it melts pretty quickly, there could be some flash flooding there associated with that. Typically, 1 inch of snow of liquid can produce, right at 10 inches of snowfall. It's a 1 to 10 ratio. When it gets higher, it can be higher. So you take the 10 inches, you multiply it by 7, where they got 77, and that's 7 inches of liquid. That's as if you got 7 inches of rain. So that's going to be a big deal now as we move along. We're going to be watching out for just how much rainfall did come down there, or liquid that turns into as we go through the days to come. I don't know if Buffalo knows how much water they can take. Now, they do have a big, big lake there that I'm sure it can drain off into if that's the way that it goes, and hopefully that is the deal. Satellite imagery here, moving along. The sandwich imagery showing some of the precipitation trying to work its way northward. At least the instability is coming out of the Gulf of Mexico, working its way northward. Still some spin down there into the Gulf of Mexico that we're looking at. That's been a big deal as we've gone through the day today. And notice the orientation of our wind barbs. They're all coming in from the southwest, coming across that portion of Mexico and moving into the southeastern United States from north to south. If you look into the big picture here, we've got the Great Lakes area there as well that shows a lot of that stuff that's still going on there, i.e. the changing of the winds that's causing everything to sort of spin around and move on through and up and down the line there, too. And now we look at the satellite imagery from the day-to-day high-res stuff that shows you the cold air moving in across the land, and that's why you see these little ripples into the cloud deck. Those are fair weather, but cold cumulus clouds that are forming. They don't have any precipitation, but it's the cold cumulus that's forming there. Some of the National Weather Service offices, here's what they've got to say. Bands of each will be moving across the region. Expect a quick 4 to 6 inches of snowfall, quite possibly from Buffalo to Dunkirk and beyond. Look, it goes up to 100% chance. Now, we're also looking at half the atmosphere, noticing the troughiness moving away from the eastern United States, at least the big part of it. Now, this is half of the thickness of the atmosphere. 500 millibars is what you're looking at, which is normally a decent way to be able to tell what the surface temperatures are as well as you get through half of the atmosphere. But looking at Lake Erie there and beyond, notice the wind barbs beginning to shift, but there's going to be another change right about here when it starts to take place, that the shift will also change, and it's going to be a little bit different as we kind of move along here through the period. Now, half of the atmosphere, yeah. The other part of this, too, that I wanted to talk about briefly, we have so many things, facets going on into this forecast, but over the next 7 days, we run into another chance for strong to severe thunderstorms. Possibly, it's not as glaring, whatever it is. It's not so much that today as it was a couple of days ago, but it may change again. But climatology says over the last, since 82 to 2011, so for about, 30 years there, the probability of having an EF2 or greater tornado within 25 miles of any of these areas is more likely into the deep south, roughly northern Louisiana, southern Arkansas, Mississippi. Now there's even a little donut right there, a little further color, wasn't there yesterday, but an even higher probability there around Jackson. And this is climatology. This isn't the actual forecast, but does say if there's going to be tornadoes in some portion of the United States, that they're more likely to occur into the deep south this time of the year. Why? Well, cold front's coming on through. You got the clash of seasons that's still trying to take place, so it does basically happen that way, where you end up sort of seeing the clash take place in this general area. So I did throw that in there because we'll talk about that a little bit more in our modeling, but just if you go over and you look at it climatologically speaking, that would be the case as we move on down into the forecast over the next 7 days, which includes around Thanksgiving Day, 23rd, 24th, 25th, somewhere that you might be affected. This is the National Weather Service office there in Buffalo. And you can see it's hard to get an automobile out of that. It's going to take a while for this to actually melt across these regions. Certainly going to do so. And then moving on across. Now, here's what happened. I haven't seen this yet. So this is for goodness flake. This is a lot of snow. You betcha. The daily record snowfall at the Buffalo Airport. The previous record was 7 inches. Week. That was 2014. Busted that record. Anytime you double a record, you know you've done something. 17.2 inches of snowfall for November the 19th on Saturday. Western New York, look at the 77 in Orchard Park. Hamburg, 73 inches. Blasdale at 65 inches. West Seneca at 49. Angola, New Boston, looking at 43 in the Wells-Eden area there, too. Now, further to the north, this is the eastern side of Lake Ontario, the Watertown area there. 57 now officially in Watertown. Natural Bridge had 72. And if it weren't for the Orchard Park at 77, the 72 would be the most. But naturally, 77 and 72, 77 is higher. So it wins so far at this point. Fort Drum, West Carthage, into the Copenhagen area, 40+. Even a foot down into Henderson. You folks in Henderson, you were like, we're not going to get any snow. Look what happened. You got a foot of snow there in Henderson. So that's the event totals so far. That's from the lake effect machine that was on there that really didn't change during the day today. So we move along now, and now what are we looking at as far as the rest of it goes? Well, we're looking at some changes coming up as we move along. Let's just talk about the next couple of days ahead, though. The heavy lake effect snow continues tonight, but it'll start to shut off as we get into the overnight hours tonight, the early part of the day on Sunday morning, because the trajectory will shut off. But another 6 to 8 is possible. Buffalo, 8 to 12. An additional 8 to 12 is possible down here to the south near Fredonia and northward. Here you go from basically this afternoon into the 7 a.m. time period on Tuesday, because Monday there's a little bit of snow left over, but this one's going to be south of Watertown into Oswego on the south and eastern side of Lake Ontario, and I think that Cleveland gets in on some of this too. I believe Cleveland's going to be showing up here, and that's going to be happening here pretty soon as well. Yeah, there you go. Cleveland, right on the east side of town, it looks like, but that yellow there is indicative of 6 to 10 inches of snow that could happen on the south side of I-90 in Cleveland. Doesn't look like it goes too much further to the west. Ann Arbor, Detroit, you're not really in it. And on the west coast today, the high temperature readings, they were warm into the 70s. It was Anaheim had the 74-degree reading there. Tecumseh had 71. Temecula also had 71, San Clemente. And then these are the winds, which were Santa Ana winds during the day today, which were going to be, kind of silly, but they were going to watch that for burn problems. Into the Irvine, Anaheim area coming out of here. I've been to Anaheim a couple times for the Children's Miracle Network Telethon. Yes, I met Marie Osmond. Yes, I met Luke Duke. What's his name? Luke Duke. I rode on a roller coaster with the both of them. Touch me. So here's we go. Next 6 to 10 days, the temperature outlook says it's still above to the west. So we're still going to have ridging out there. We'll have troughing into the eastern United States, which means below normal. Not leaning below, likely below, especially the eastern half. The far southeastern part of the state, which includes the state of Florida. Florida being below the norm now. All the snowbirds who came down from the north to take over the state of Florida, they're going like, what is happening here? Even so, that's going to mean upper 60s and low 70s as far as those temperatures go. The 8 to 14-day temperature outlook, which gets us all the way through, this is valid now. It was yesterday's issue, but it's valid the 27th through December the 3rd, which takes us all the way into the first part of December, and that's when the temperature outlook looks for everybody to rise above. It doesn't stay below the norm for very long at all. This will be the point to where probably Alaska is going to be cooling off, and I do think that would be the case. You can see this. Well, let me back up a little bit. See, normally when it's above, let me stop this for just a second. Normally there is a correlation. When you got above temperatures in the central sections of the United States, it's normally getting colder up here into Alaska. Alaska is our refrigerator. Think of it that way. The refrigerator that then somebody comes in and opens the door. Sorry, but in Oregon it's cold. Why are you sorry? It is not Tom. It wasn't Tom. It was Luke Duke. It was... it was Bo and there was Luke. It was the other one, blonde-headed dude. I have a picture, a Polaroid picture of he and I riding in the at Disney, and we were riding in some new ride there at Disney that they had for dun, 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 dun. Yeah. Anyway, because I don't think I can say that. I can see the title on the air. I have to pay Harrison Ford some money. Something to that end. 8 to 14 days above across the entire nation. Wouldn't that be nice? And now here's what also typically seems to happen is 8 to 14 days would typically give us some severe weather possibilities, especially when you're talking about December and beyond. 3 to 4 weeks, temperature outlook looks like this. Deep into the heart of Texas, you got some stuff going on here, some warmer temperatures here with high pressure beginning to build in. Back to the west of there just a little bit. Precipitation-wise, below the norm. So whatever you're expecting here is below the norm in both of those areas and projected to be that way for just a tad longer. Let me do this right here because I want you to see me gasp. I'm going to be gasping quite a bit as we move along. Where are we in this whole thing? Is it moving or did I stop it? please be moving. Just go ahead and go on. Go forward. So that's kind of what that looks like. As we have moved along, we're still moving. And then you got this. I got to stop this. Next weekend, the GFS, the glorified GFS model, has this down there just off the tip of the Bay of Campeche. The tip right there. It's just the tip there that is Cozumel, Cancun. Right there in that area. Cozumel, Cancun. 995 is what we're looking at. Is that going to happen? There's been 3 or 4 models now that has suggested that. Don't care about projection or computer modeling. Well, why are you watching this then? Elijah? You need to click the channel, because that's all I'm going to be talking about here for just a few moments. There's, it's YouTube. There's tons of stuff for you. I don't know. What do you want me to do? Sing? Dance? That's hilarious. John Schneider. That's who it was. Thank you. I really, really appreciate that. I do appreciate that. Anyway, this is what GFS says as we move along through the little while. And tropical, yeah, it's quite possible. Tropical weather down there. It's not unheard of into December, so the modeling, it's only the GFS model. The European was kind of pointing at it just a little bit, but it also sort of backed off there at the last minute as well, so that wasn't a big deal. Right now, there is no snow falling in Gaylord, Michigan. It was just a few moments ago. I keep going back to this because they feed the animals, and the animals right now, they probably can't feed them because there's too much snow that is on the ground right there in that isolated area anyway. What are you doing? Don't do that. Here again is some of the pictures that Brett Adair took, I believe, earlier in the evening. This is last evening when people were trying to dig out. Look at that child there. She's about 12 years old. Look how they're trying to dig out of this mess. And it's going to be very difficult. And that is a large African elephant track that you can see there on the screen as well. There's the Apollo that we were looking at a few moments ago. Brett was somewhere out in there. He got lost. Here he goes. Don't tell me he didn't do this. See, he did do this. And he's, well, here's proof in the pudding. People were saying earlier that he was faking it on somebody's webpage. He wasn't faking anything. Look at the rutting. You got rutting here. These are going to be snow-covered wagons. This is a not a station wagon. It's an SUV. And look at this guy. He needs some weight on his front tires up there. Doesn't it all look awful? It looks glad that it's not where I am. In order there at some point.
All right, Bryce, slow.
It's going to be a short-term thing. It's going to take it a while to get back into order. The video
all right, you're
tells the story.
Turn it left. Turn it left.
Pretty much what is happening here and going to be the case. This is from yesterday. What a mess this was, too, when it really started, or the day before yesterday, when it really started to come down. This is from Brandon Clement and Petramala. They were out there doing their thing. Watch as you go underneath this particular viaduct here, and then you go out and bam! Visibility is so low, you can't see too far in front of your face when this happens, and it gets really kind of difficult here when this sort of situation takes place. I mean, this is not a good deal at all, and I know people were really upset about the whole. Brett took this video again during the day today. This is from some of the mess that was going on early this morning, and messy, yes. It was truly coming down harder than you can get rid of it at this point. I always wanted to own one of those, but having one when I lived in Tallahassee, Florida, it never came about to where it was very useful at all. So, but that's what it looks like. Yellow light, does it really matter at this point? I'm surprised there weren't a little fisticuffs happening there. Thank goodness everything was kind of cool. Couple of snow-nados. I mean, they weren't that hard to find in here if you were. And I think I know this guy right here. He is I think I know that guy. I've seen his mustache before. Anyway, if you look well ahead, you can see even the emergency vehicles having their lights on. It was very difficult there when you were driving about the area, and that was one of those things that was going to be happening, was that in that short term. And here's some more. This is, I think, from Brett, where he was on the floor throwing up. He was taking this video. I'm surprised it's not, turned to the right a little bit. He had the ability to actually keep this straight up, but this is what it looks like to be up there during that kind of a hard snow. This is the early part of the season, folks. Those Great Lakes are not going to, this thing will happen until the Great Lakes freeze over, and the Great Lakes didn't freeze over hardly at all last year. So this is a situation to where, at least at this point, till the Great Lakes freeze over, this would be, a cyclical thing that could happen. There's no reason why this won't continue to happen. Yeah, we Southerners, you might remember, if you were alive in 93, March 2, it was March the 13th of 1993, and we had the big snowfall. Here's Blizz. Actually, the winds were up into the 60 to 70 mile per hour range. I was the chief meteorologist at a television station in Chattanooga, Tennessee, WDEF. You know why it was DEF? Because ABC had just been taken. We were the second station on the air, and they called us WDEF. Channel 12, home of Luther Massengale. And there you go. You got some of the snow there on the everything that was sitting there at that point anyway, which, is kind of difficult. Is this real? Hey, this is back into Buffalo again tonight. This is real. This is the Peace Bridge deck. Hey, it's horrible again. This is the U.S. Inspection Plaza there. You can't see where everybody goes to get inspected. Right there, right now. Check that out. What is the wind speed there? That is insane. Some of the high winds coming into the area there are indicative of like 30 to 40 miles per hour, I would say, at least. And let me turn some of this on to take a better look at what's happening. Wind speed. Let's go with wind speed, not direction. I don't care how the direction is. 25, but gusting. Wind speed's 25, but it is gusting there, so that's a very difficult situation at the moment with what is happening. Look at this. You got 25 mile per hour winds. It's 28 degrees right now there, but 25 mile per hour winds. Can you see it down here at the bottom? 25 with a gust of 44. 25 gusting to 44 at the present, which is high. That is going to be a pretty high. There you go. 25 gusting to 44 out of the southwest. The wind is coming in from that arrow down there that you do see. That's included. Sky is broken. And dew point is at 20. They got a minus snow. Baloney. That's not minus snow. That's pretty heavy stuff right there. Just right down there to the south. This Port Colborne area ought to be the same. We have some really heavy snow here. Visibility's down, but 32 and 47 gusts are showing up. So that's going to be very difficult there, too, as well. And then down here near Dunkirk, we're already down to 31 degrees. The winds are gusting 24 to 37. You can see at the bottom, and there's the trajectory of the wind, which is pretty much just parallel to the coastline, which means turn it on. Turn the faucet on, because it's happening right now. You can see this thing is so long, it goes all the way up to the north, almost to Ottawa. There, you betcha, there into the southern part of Canada, almost to Ottawa. What's coming in off the eastern side of Lake Michigan at the moment is small. South Bend, Indiana, getting a little bit right there. Kalamazoo over to Battle Creek into the Coldwater area. Lansing, a little bit of light snow falling there too. But up to the north, we've had our fair share from time to time in and around the Gaylord region. But the Gaylord camera didn't have much on it there when we were looking at it just moments ago. We'll watch it, though, if the snow does pick up. Be happy to show that to you there in Gaylord, because we've got great visibility there, as you saw. Let's just try it again. Yeah, I'm still watching. Who said I wasn't? Well, that just hurts my heart. Who said I wasn't watching? Yes, I'm watching. Am I going to have to... I bet I have to do this. I'm gonna have to say, okay, we could end up refresh the browser. We could have to watch a commercial. No, we didn't. I don't mind commercials. It pays the bills. 18 degrees now at Gaylord, Michigan. 18 at 9:38. The snowman's all right. I don't know what's happened to the duck. That's a duck over there on the right-hand side. Used to be, or at least a duck bill, or maybe a swan or something of that nature. This is not National Geographic, so we're not expected to know what every animal is that goes by the camera. But during the day today, I know we did, in fact, have a couple of mooses. They were either mooses or they might have been large, super large deer. Blowing snow, an official blizzard. Killer, you are so right. Blizzards have nothing to do with the actual amount of snow. Alexa, what is the wind speed in a blizzard?
Currently, it's breezy at 2.3 miles per hour. Tonight, expect a light breeze around 5.8
No,
per hour.
Alexa, shh. How high does the wind have to be to call it a blizzard?
Current weather is 39 degrees
Alexa,
Fahrenheit with cloudy
Alexa,
skies.
stop. Alexa,
Tonight,
stop. Alexa, what is the wind speed in a blizzard? Are you thinking, Alexa, what is the wind speed in a blizzard?
currently, it's breezy at 2.3 miles per hour.
I just took yours. I just unplugged you. Alexa hasn't a clue, but you're exactly right what you were thinking there. That's always the case when we're looking at stuff like that and trying to explain what, basically is happening with the storms as they move on through. Yeah, I see. Yeah, I apologize for that, too. Always takes a little bit of time, but it's all about the wind. And I think somebody told you, did somebody tell you 35? It's 35 miles per hour, which makes a blizzard. So, yeah, it's a sustained 35. It's not just hit or miss gust. It's a sustained 35 where it happens, and so it could happen. I did tell Alexa to stop, and she just did not want to, because she hasn't really answered any single question I have had. She's been, just hasn't worked well. We don't work well together. Not like Brett and I. Brett and I, we're like, bam, 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 bam. Not Alexa. Did anybody have a caption for me that you wanted to give me for this guy? This guy, by the way, is Brett Adair, our fearless leader. He went outside for just a couple of minutes last night. He took this. And then he, like 5 minutes later, he came in, he wrote me, and he said, I am really bad. And I said, Cameron, you got a little bit of work to do. There's a few things. I've been doing this for a long, long time, so I can help you out. And he said, no. I'm super sick. And I said, you were before you went outside, dude. And he's, flirting with disaster there. Check it out. This is coming in again up there. Look at the wind coming across this thing. This is the Peace Bridge deck. The Peace Bridge deck up there. That guy's doing donuts. I don't know. Look, now is he getting arrested, or is he going to be doing the same thing? Peace Bridge deck. I want to see something. Peace Bridge deck. Peace Bridge deck. This is over near Niagara, I think. Peace Bridge. Or let's just look up the U.S. Inspection Plaza. U.S. Inspection Plaza. And if I got anything here. U.S. Inspection Plaza. U.S. Inspection. Recent search. U.S. Inspection Plaza. Peace Bridge. Peace Bridge deck. Let me do that. Peace Bridge deck. All right, here's the Peace Bridge deck, and it says it is not a real place. So we are actually seeing, we're seeing something that really isn't accounted for in real life. And I apologize for that. No life found. No life found. He ascend. High ascend. I'm sorry, these things are a long way from me here. It takes only one flake of snow. Takes only one Sometimes it only takes one flake of snow. Hit that like button. Where is it? I don't. Do I have a like button? Because I want to hit the like button. I wasn't even sure that we were on. Well, the only button I got says dislike. I'm so sorry. I don't know what I'm doing. I apologize. What do you want to talk about? I have some more stuff. We could do some more stuff, or we could just talk. We look at some of these cameras here because they have been insane off and on through the day today. That camera there was this Thompson Road camera. Look at that. They're like, what snow? I don't see any snow. There's snow on the 19th, 11/19 at 19:08. So that is up to date within about 30 minutes. And I think I see the snow over there up in the upper right-hand side. I think that's where the snow is. Now, this is the QEW, the Queen Elizabeth Way. This is up there. So this is going to be a Canadian thing, the 305. And the further north you go, the less precipitation you likely saw or you're going to see. So in that sort of a situation, it kind of looks like that's going to be the thing. As if a chicken rides on a sheep across the Peace Bridge. Have y'all been drinking? Was there like a drinking contest before I got on? There was something. Alexa, what time is it?
The time is 8:45 p.m.
Alexa, it's the first thing you've gotten right all day, so thank you very much. I do appreciate it. That's what it looks like down there. We still have a little bit going on from time to time in a few other areas, but check it out. You go right down to Niagara and wham, bam! That's where it all happens there into Niagara. And just over, let me get rid of some of these frames here and take a look at this. Let's go down to 21 frames. And so what you're looking at is the heavy snow coming in right up here, I think just across the Niagara River. And the Buffalo River's down to the south. But look at it. I mean, this stuff is whipping on through there. There's still going to be problems here overall with visibility. You can't see the turnstiles, the gates up there ahead of you. So the visibility is super low. And so at this point, that's, more or less what we're looking at. Are the New Yorkers throwing a fit over the snow like Texans do with rain? Be half a mile from the main storm. We never get any, says photojournalist Michael Beard. Would that be an Ewuber? Seaweber? You mean a Beweer? No. A bounded weak echo? I don't know if that's not what you're talking about. Look, I'm just going to be honest with you. I am high on Mucinex. I took 2. I think you're only supposed to take 1 at a time. So I took 2. There is a, hold on. I was a little bit hungry. There is a gummy bear on the floor. Alexa, how long do gummy bears last?
Gummy bears usually can last at room temperature for 6 to 8 months, in the fridge for 6 to 8 months, and in the freezer for 1 year.
6 to 8. Is there more to that? Did I eat that too soon? That's pretty good. Now, I'm sorry, I'm eating in front of you, and last time I did that, I smacked, so I do apologize. Let me quit doing that. Uber. Oh, it's Uber, not Beware. I might sneeze. Yeah, we can look at... Sorry. Let's go in and look at some of the buoys. Right now we have buoys out there that we can look at out over the open Lake Erie, which always makes me think of, these things are got a lot of it's like the ocean out there when you look at it or when you're there. Marine tools. I'm going to turn on the buoys. I am using Radar Omega, my new favorite app in the whole wide world. Radar Omega is a new app. I don't know. They've been out for several months, a year maybe. But I really like using them because a little bit of everything is in here. So it's still really wild at what you can get off of this thing. And some night when y'all want to, I'd love to do a tutorial with you to show you what I know. I don't know everything. We'll get somebody from there to help us out. But let's talk about this. We're looking at Lake Erie here, some of the buoy data. There are buoys that are out there. Notice there are buoys that are right on the Canadian border, actually. Here's a buoy that 45005, it's one of my top 5 favorite buoys of all time. 45005. I love this buoy. The sea surface temperature is down to 44 degrees. Now, if you know anything about what's been going on this week, we've been going to this buoy all along, and this buoy was screaming 52 degrees. So it's fallen 8 degrees in like 7 days, the water temperature has. Now, it was so that water temperature into the 50s, well, that's like you just scream it. You just take and squeeze that water content out, and you got snow that's falling. My grandmother used to say, you hit a cloud with a stick, and it's going to rain. Well, this was a situation where it was so abundantly moist in that cloud that you didn't have to do a whole lot to get it out. But 44 now, so we're seeing temperatures out here really starting to fall. Now, out in the middle of Lake Erie, 33 miles per hour with a gust of 42, 42 and a half. 43 or whatever it takes. I'm trying to click it up here on my monitor when in all actuality it is on my iPad, which is beneath me. And then we're going up here a little bit further and take a look at some of these areas. I don't know if this is a buoy that's out over the open water. This is from 9:20 this morning. The water temperature was still sea surface temperature. Actually, we don't even want to talk about this because this is from 10:24. 12 miles per hour, that's updated, but it's not out over the open water. This one is up here in the northern part of Lake Erie. What's it going to be? The air temperature is at 32. The sea surface temperature is now down to 48. It was 51 last night when we looked at this. It was 51 degrees out there over the open waters in the northeastern side of Lake Erie, and now we're down several degrees. Now, when you got a chop on the water like this, water takes forever to cool off. Just the opposite takes place. It can warm up pretty rapidly, but when you've got cold water, when you got warm water, you can't chill it. I mean, think about it at your house. You can't chill it very quickly if you're boiling water. When you go from that gaseous, I don't want to talk about that because speaking of gaseous, I think Ascend is on here. Lake Ontario, we've got 48 degrees as a sea surface temperature. The winds are gusting up to 40 now in the middle of Lake Ontario. And you get on the other side of the lake, and you still got like an air temperature of 35, but the water temperature, sea surface temperature is right at 50 there on the other side of everything. These are the wind speeds in the yellow circles here, 20, 24. You know, these are sustained wind speeds that are ongoing, so it is still kind of gusty no matter where you go there into the Lake Erie area and beyond. So you want to take a look at some forecasts? Does anybody want a particular place, a forecast that you'd like to know about, a particular spot that you'd like to know about? I'd be glad to go through it. We'll give you the latest on what we know about your hometown. If not, I'm going to tell you about mine. I will. Meet our settings. Let's get rid of those. I don't want those on any longer. Excuse me. And here's what we have here across the nation as a whole. I already did. Me for Thanksgiving. Chip Campbell says, me for Thanksgiving. Me or Michigan? Is that Michigan? Michigan for Thanksgiving. Is that what we're going to do? We're going to do that. All right, let's go over here to the GFS. We're going to use the GFS, the Global Forecasting System here, which is not that. Let's do this. Put it into the modeling situation here if you can. This is part of what this whole thing does here. The GFS model is right there. We have two long-range models into the GFS and the European. Right now we're going to be looking at the GFS, and we'll just be looking at precipitation and precipitation type as we go through. Now we're still looking at the 18Z data because the 0Z that just started only went up, the balloon data only went up starting at 6 o'clock. So that is 0Z. Is a 6 p.m. But let's move forward here and take a look at what we've got as far as precipitation and precipitation type. This is into Monday. Again, you can see let me show you where you can follow along. I wish I had, like one of those dots that lets you follow along. But look right here. That is the time that the forecast initializes on. So this is valid for Monday. Monday the 21st at 9 a.m. Monday the 21st at 9 a.m. And it's also 45 hours from 18Z today, which was noontime today. So let's take a look at it. We move along with the forecast data. And what we do have now as far as precipitation goes, none into Wednesday. This is Wednesday here at noon. A little bit of rain actually starting to show up into northern Michigan, meaning the temperatures, remember we saw how it was going to warm a little bit? Well, that's still the case. We're looking for some warming going on. And here you go. You can see that's into northern Michigan. This next time around, looking into the 24th, and we've got 6 p.m., we got a little bit of rain shower activity here and there across Michigan at this point. The snow's well across the Canadian border or over into Lake Superior, into that region. So more or less, that's kind of what we're looking at there is a rain event coming across the upper sections of the Great Lakes. Doesn't look like a whole lot of snowfall there. Friday, there is a changeover there, but moisture-starved all this is. It doesn't look like there's a whole lot of moisture. The next storm system comes in on Sunday the 27th. That's pretty far to the north in Michigan. And then here's a big deal. This is a big low pressure, and this is going to be, if this happens, if this were to happen, and we're right at 270 hours away. So a lot of stuff does happen, but it normally points to trends that do take place. This trend says that there is a massive low pressure center, if this takes place, coming out of Nebraska. This thing probably came in, cold front right here. Massive amounts of snowfall on the back side of this, and that would be a large snow event coming out, probably coming out of the Rockies. Is that what happened? This came out of the south. Yeah, this came out of the Rockies as a Denver low and then made its way across Nebraska up through. This is when it really started to carve its way out, and big low pressure now around Nebraska. If you look at some of the temperatures, we can probably even see temperatures are going to be falling behind this situation real fast, like if it doesn't move at all. So see, you can still see the cold air is behind this system. Here's your legit, that's a terrible thing there. Here is your legit low pressure center right there. Here's the warm air trying to sneak all the way northward into this. So that bleeds out there. Excuse me. I sneezed. Oh my gosh, I've been sneezing. So you got warm air going on like this, but then the cold air comes in and takes over. Here is your cold front down to the south. This would be an occlusion here. Cold air outrunning the warm air causes an occlusion to take place. And then you got your big-time cold air coming into the Colorado Rockies at this point. That's probably going to be a big snower there as well as it comes in. And we're drawing all of this warm air from south to north. Now, if this materializes, this would be on the 30th. This is totally different than what we had last night. This thing was trying to show up on Thanksgiving Day. Now, it's a couple of days further down the road, but stronger. If you kind of look at it like this and watch what happens there on the 29th, Tuesday the 29th, dew points really start to come in out of the Gulf of Mexico. See, the one little wave right there was worrisome, but we've suppressed that a little bit back down into the Gulf of Mexico. That'd be Sunday the 27th that happens, and it's in the wake of yet another situation there. On Thanksgiving Day, here was the severe weather possibilities that we were looking at, which was going to be right here. And you can sort of draw a line and say the better chances for severe weather would be something like this. And in this area right here where the warm air comes northward out of the Gulf of Mexico. So I would look for the possibility of having some strong thunderstorms in this region on Thanksgiving Day. That would be from Houston, Galveston, Beaumont, Port Arthur, and all the way up through there. A second wave comes through into Sunday. It hugs the Gulf Coast, though. Now, there's some super high dew points here. We're in the 70s along this area. And then if we go a little bit further, that passes on by. And then of all of them so far, this one seems to be the doozy. This one does definitely have a whole lot more in the way of dynamics that will be with the storm, dynamically speaking. Low pressure there. It's going to move northward. Watch what happens. I'll put it into motion, and it zips on off But dew points go crazy around this thing when they come northward, and we should see dew points probably, let's see, as we get into, this is going to send dew points way, way massively far north that would be, criteria for severe weather. So 2 or 3 severe weather events on the 30th. It looks like we have a possibility, at least now, starting to show up. And just like we talked a little bit earlier, climatologically speaking, if there's going to be severe weather, it's probably going to be somewhere down throughout this area of the Deep South and moving across the rest of the region with a bullseye sort of in here, if you look at it in that form and fashion. So definitely want to be watching out for everybody here. What does the projected radar look like? Well, let's just put it on there and see. And here's what the projections would tell us. That the Gulf of Mexico is nasty. There along the Gulf Coast, Highway 98, staying nasty. Not much change. Let me take that from composite reflectivity and go with some sort of a precip type that might show us if we do indeed have anything frozen anywhere on this. It does look like it's cold enough back, into New Mexico, southern New Mexico, to see a little change there. So here's your low pressure center right there on Thanksgiving weekend, Saturday into Sunday. I sort of see that maybe happening as twofold. Then you got a little Denver, Colorado snow there. It's not a big one because the low is to the north. But then check out this low. There's some massive low pressure going northward. This will be blizzard warnings for places like Minneapolis, Bemidji, southwestward, all the way into that area across southwestern Minnesota and into North and South Dakota also. Some heavy snowfall looks to be taking place. Close call. Rain or snow event in St. Paul. Close call right there. But what isn't is down to the south. And if this takes place, you've got linear thunderstorms, but you've also got a gated area here that we would look at that might have some super high moisture content, on the back side of which might be a little bit of light snow as it ends in Bellefontaine, in Cincinnati, down into Louisville, Kentucky as well as it goes on by. And the last thing we're going to do here is take a look, because I've been talking about it for a while. We'll take a look at what's happening into the Caribbean, because at this point, we've been showing something down there for a while. Now, it was on the 30th. Now, that's the 27th. 28th, 29th, and notice there's some stuff. This is the old, now you're beginning to see the old front that moved southward, coming all the way down into the Yucatan. This is the old cold front that came through the middle of the country. When they get down there and they no longer have any push behind them, oftentimes you would see a low pressure that could just form along that. That'd be a low pressure down in there. Is it tropical yet? Probably not at this point, but actually, none of it has happened, so we don't really know. But it appears to be, and watch, you can sort of see it all happening here as it takes place, right near Belize, Honduras, Nicaragua. And there it is. There's where it shows up. Now, at this point, radar would sort of tell us that it is more of a subtropical situation, deriving its energy from temperature gradients instead of the actual water itself, the latent heat coming in off of the water. But hold on, this is bothering me now, because is my face am I sitting there like a goober? Let's see. There we go. Put my face on the other side because I think I was behind something there. Was I or not? I don't really care. Anyway, we move along here. So that's what it looks like on Thursday at noontime, and there seems to be a center. Doesn't there? Doesn't there seem to be a center? So we go a little bit further in time. This is going to be Thursday, and we move on along. The center ends up right there near Playa del Carmen, just outside of Cancun on the Yucatan Peninsula, just the tip. Probably right in that general area. And it went up. Yesterday it was going up all the way up into South Florida. Today, stalling and coming back down and going onshore, meaning the cold front was strong enough to at least push it down to the south just a little bit further across that area. I'm not being stupid. Counties are big. Well, I caught that conversation right in the middle. Let me back up just a little bit. Killer says, crap. Back to the forest we go. Tell your location to strangers online, dude. Don't. We're not buried, Jeremiah. We had 3 more inches. Not what I wanted to see here for Turkey Day, Dixie Alley. Steve, no, not that stupid. Counties are big, but thanks. Anthony, thanks. Nebraska, thanks. I think we had more than 3 hours in Grand Rapids, but not a foot. Weatherman kept saying a foot. I think the 12 to 18 inches were a bit north of you, Jeremiah, at least from what I've seen. Where are you from, Anthony? You're from Alabama. That was me catching up. What else do we have? Well, let's kind of look at it while we still have it here. Let's just kind of look at the actual temperatures and see if we see anything that sort of is a change overall. Again, we're looking at the 18Z. There's your cold air into the purples. That's showing you the really cold air. Gulf of Mexico is still warm, so the temperatures out there are kind of warm. Moving along into Thursday, Thanksgiving Day, here are some of the temperatures that you'd be looking at. And the likelihood, there's some 40s you can see that go all the way to the north, 47 or so there. We're still looking at 30s, but that's normal into Minnesota. Into Chicago, we're looking at 40-degree temperatures. But I'm dumb. I am not thinking very well. And that was at, let's go to at least 3 p.m. where it can warm up. So Chicago, now you're at 51 at 3 p.m. on Thanksgiving Day. It's 51 degrees, or supposed to be, into the 50s across the central portions of the United States. And the 60s are in yellow. That is the isotherm, 60-degree readings. And the isotherms stretch all the way back into Texas, where we could be into the 70s. Into Houston, on Thanksgiving Day in Houston, you're going to be topping out into the mid to upper 70s. Birmingham, 70s through the period here as well. Down into South Florida, we got some warm stuff. Central Pennsylvania, still into the 30s. Those are daytime highs on Thanksgiving Day. Daytime high temperature readings. And then if we push this further on and we go into Friday, same time period, 3 into the afternoon, I remember seeing this. Now, this is what, I remember seeing them talking about this. I don't remember exactly what they said, but this is a huge anomaly that'll be taking place if it happens right here in the middle of the country. This is going to be stupid warm. This is like way, way, way above normal conditions here. The 63 to 64, that's not supposed to happen. They don't normally see those kind of temperatures, even pushing 70. And so, even pushing 70, and so it goes along with, here comes trouble. Because when the temperatures get that warm, the dew points shall rise. And you can see right beyond that in the 24-hour period, that's actually when that does sort of take place. So it is going to be a big deal there when and if that does occur. Question, we got any more questions? Southeast Michigan. You're from Southeast Michigan? What's in Southeast Michigan? What's your favorite place? Saranac Lake? Oh, no, you're in Saranac. That's New York. Gotten over a foot. Did you expect a foot? Did you know you were going to get a foot, or were you surprised by it? Shh, it's a secret squirrel. Are you being quiet? Are you typing like in the secret closet? Are you typing to us as the secret squirrel? Because that is a really cool name. And we won't tell. Oh. You've got to be kidding me. Tennessee's losing to South Carolina 42 to 31. It's a shootout, and it is now into the beginning of the fourth quarter. Mama Bear, California, warm and dry as always. I'm going to mute my mic and blow my nose because that's the only choice I have. Okay, I feel better. I think I have a bug, like a stink bug. We've got these things called stink bugs here in the southern United States. I think I just sucked one into my nose because it's been just tickling me ever since. Ever since and beyond. Let's look at that camera again. Gaylord, nothing's happening there. A little bit of wind. But those cameras that we were looking at where the stuff was coming down again in central. Look at this. I-90, you can only barely see the pole over there on I-90. the light pole. Look what's happened here. Route 33 coming into Buffalo. Route 33. Wow. Route 6. No, that's not Route 6. That's Scene 6. But the same thing is really kind of going on here. The same thing we've been talking about, because if you look at it, you can certainly see the wind is blowing. This thing got out of hand quickly. I mean, things got out of hand quick when this came on by. Oh, 8? Killer says November, and Tim said the 70s, bad news for Louisiana. Yeah, can be. Can be bad news for about anybody there. Jeremiah says, you crazy. You be crazy. Cray, man. Look, that was a live picture. I was wondering. Now, there is no ruts at all, and they're just now making some. This is the first time there's been any rutting going on here. I don't know. Can you say? This is not for kids. I didn't know if you had chat that you couldn't have kids. Why are they still driving around in that weather? Unless you're sick, unless you got an emergency. I just, I hope they're not just going around joyriding. I know it's not Brett, because he's sick on the floor. Oh, I'm so sorry, my nose. Hold on a second. All right, stop. I don't have the actual frame from this last night. I don't still have it. I bet I do, or I wouldn't have. No, I think I deleted it. If you were with me last night, do you remember running up on this? This was what the radar looked like south of Buffalo, but right there along the lake, actually, and what looked like three tornadoes. Do you know what this is? Can somebody tell me what this is? 2 artifacts, 3. There were about 6 artifacts there that were showing up right along the lake. They weren't thunderstorms. Does anybody know what it is? When it hit me, when I first saw it, I thought, what in the world is this? Because I had not seen it going through that radar all day long. I hadn't seen any sort of a situation with this. It took me a minute to figure it out, because I had to go with the height. The snownado, no. Although we did have, now would be a good time to insert ads. There better not be any ads. Yes, Anthony. You are exactly right. Killer, you're wrong. SD, you're wrong. Ascend, you're wrong. Frozen, that's a movie. Who do you think you are, Elsa? That's not. Frozen what? Oh, and you're not allowed to say anyway, because I told you what it was. This is actually. And you can see them on Google Earth if you want to look at it. Go to Google Earth and look south of Dunkirk, and you'll see these. These are wind generators, the big wind generators, the wind vanes that are sticking up, and the radar beam is just touching the top of them. And the reason it looks like it's high reflectivity coming back, the reason is that the top of the wind vanes there, the blades are sticking up, and they were frozen by this point. They had enough ice on them to be completely frozen and sitting still, so they came back to the radar site as a huge, large, dense object, and they were. Now, the other part of this is, and this I don't know, and I didn't read anything about it today, but quite typically, also, these big wind generators, they could throw ice a long way. I mean, we were told not to park. We had a couple of them in Minnesota where I lived, and we were told not to park downwind from where ice could be thrown by these massive blades, and they're so big, by the way. Bad grade. Well, no, y'all, none of those were even close. I mean, I'm just being honest. All those guesses were, especially the one that other dude. Somebody who, I didn't know it would go on to the end. Anyway, that was my news open that I made a little bit earlier tonight. Information. Live stream's frozen on a weird box now. Some intro thing. Samuel, where the world have you been? That's what we've been talking about all day. I only spent like 16 hours on the open. And I've only shown it once, and then I blew that because I tried to talk over it, so it wasn't really possible. Why did Saranac, Michigan, and Kalamazoo get a foot, but Grand Rapids got very little? Meanness. It's just pure meanness. It's people who there just don't appreciate it. And I'm kind of thinking, I know storm traveled fast over my area, just wondering. Yeah, it really goes back to people's attitudes there in Saranac. And you should probably get with people and tell them that until they straighten up. Dill Champ says nature. Dill Champs, is that your first name or your last? Is it your first or your last? Dill Champs. Hey, turn the if you would turn the other light on for me. Turn the other, the big light on for me, would you? Would you do that? Actually, I'm not talking to anybody. There's nobody else in here. I just thought it kind of made me look like I had a big operation going on. I apologize. I lied. I might as well have been cheating while I was fishing. I apologize. There's nobody else in here. My cat was in here, but I don't even see the cat anymore. The cat did leave me a little bit. There him is. I don't know what that means. You guys have some cryptic messages going on. Kind of worries me. What else can we talk about? We got off the weather there just a little bit. Let's get back on the weather and talk about the weather. Wow. Let me get back into this. This is, again, I thought these are some great pictures coming in from Brandon Clement and Petra Mahal. They picked it up for Brent. Brent Adair was out and about, and he was out and about for about 10 minutes, came back in, and he just couldn't move anymore. So it was pretty tough situation that was ongoing there for him as a reporter, which is why he went there. He wanted to be a reporter. And now you can see the visibility is back up. So this little wave that went through there, that wave of precipitation that was so strong, it's gone. It's no longer there. And so it had kind of moved southward, which all gave everything here a chance to at least calm down. Now, let's see what we're looking at. And I'm not sure I believe it. Do I believe it? Or is it coming back? Here is the actual radar. This one quit on me. Let's go back and turn that on. Here's the radar. Let's see what happens here. And the very last image, there's 100 of them. I don't know why that's happening. 14 frames. Let's go into it now. 14 frames, which will take us to the very last image. All right, so here's what's happening. That thing, this place right up here that we're looking at is out of range. This little deal that we're looking at is going across the border, so it's north of there, and that's why you're not seeing anything. That's why the precipitation has fallen off greatly. I just want to say that I believe what we're looking at is a dark desert highway, and there's cool wind. No, I'm pretty sure. All right, here we go. Niagara Falls. So you go down to Niagara Falls, and I feel like if I got rid of this stuff right here, please just get rid of it. It can't be any of that. There we go. I feel like we're looking there. Don't you? I mean, don't you feel like we're probably looking right there at this, where the cars are driving in? Or are we looking at the other side? Peace Bridge. Are we standing in the Canadian side and looking in? That is a great question, too. Please hold on here for just 1 second, because I'm going to make it worth your while as we do this, and talk amongst yourself and make fun of Brett. And let's come back here and go to the Bahamas. No, so I think what we're looking at with all the heavy snowfall and everything. I'm going to go back over here. I'm going to do this. What was that? That was going to be this camera right here, which would be browser 7. And I'm going to save that. I'm going to cut that, copy it. I'm going to paste it into this, which won't work, but this one might. Full iPad. And then I'm going to paste that there and do this. All right, so now browser 7 comes over here with me. My big face can go out of the shot, and we will do this. Sort of double that. All right, help me with this. So the picture that we're looking at down there, that is that's the photograph that we were looking at. The picture, it's a live picture, actually, by the way. But I feel 90% sure that what we are looking at is Niagara Falls and this little interchange here that goes across the falls and into Canada on this far side. Did I blow it? Yeah, here it is. So this is the Niagara Falls, whatever this is. This is where all the lanes are. So are we looking at it from the riverside? Does anybody know? Are we looking at it from back? Samuel. Sam, where are you? Where are you going, Sam? I'll see you. Well, I just don't know, Sam. We might not let you come back. Well, let's just see, because I think this is this. I think this is where people are driving in. Oh, you know what, though? They're driving in from the Canadian side. Because as this thing goes around, you'll see that they sort of match up here. Because I don't think they're coming in on this side. I believe they're coming in on the other side here. Don't you think I'm right? I believe the camera originates maybe over the bridge, and then we're seeing all of these places here where you can, do you have to pay? You may have to pay as you go in right here, but I don't know. So here it is. Here's what we're looking at. U.S. Customs Border Protection, da-da-da-da-da-da. That's what this looks like. Go back here. Do this. I'm going to take this a little bit bigger. Fade this. Is this not the same? Are these not the same? Google Earth and the live picture that we're looking at, Peace Bridge, I believe this is called. I really feel like I found exactly where we are. I almost know I did. So this is that bridge, which is way up there. If this is the case, the reason the precipitation has ended, and now I will finally make a point, at least my point that I thought I had to begin with all along. And I'm going to use a whole different camera in order to do this. Take this, display 3, display capture, blah, 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 and put this straight on here like this, that, and do this. And now you'll see what we're looking at here. The snow moved away. Wow, Bismarck. No. There we go. So you have the snow moved away from Buffalo, but it also moved away from this bridge that we're looking at live here as well. And it's just now probably beginning. No, it's gone. It's cleared out. It's come in on the back side of this, and so it has now cleared out. No longer is the case, and that's why we're seeing everything, slow down in intensity there. We figured it out together. When I think of Canada, I think of hockey, Justin Bieber, and Drake. I don't know. When I think of Canada, I just think of nice people. Normally, Canadians are really, really nice. Ask them if you can borrow money, and most of the time, they'll give it to you. All right. So there you have it. And I believe we've been on the air for about 3 or 4 hours now. So if you don't have questions, Teddy, I'll share the snow. Nah, I'm good here. I'll be there in Indiana, January the 20th. Are we all meeting up? Meets the Canadian border is the Peace Bridge. Where I-90 meets the Canadian border. Well, Killer, you kind of held out that information until the very last minute. I appreciate it, but now you're a little too late. Any questions, please? You got any questions before I go? I'd be glad to try to help anybody as far as the whole thing goes. Do you have anybody have a caption? Nobody else had a caption for this. This is Brett Adair, by the way. It's gone viral all across the nation. Millions and millions of views of Brett climbing over, getting into the snowfall right there. Kind of looks like he might have had to go number one, maybe, but this way there wouldn't be any kind of evidence. Show Northern Maine. Okay, I'll show it to you. I know exactly what it looks like. I've seen it before so many times. It's the one up there. It's really the furthest that you can go. We're in Northern Maine. By the way, other than San Bernardino, is that not the largest county in the United States? Is this not? I think San Bernardino is the first, and is this county not the second largest county in the whole entirety of the United States? Do you live up there? I do believe San Bernardino County there in California is the largest, but this is, I think, the second largest county. Caribou. And since you know so much about it, I thought you might know, and you have absolutely no input whatsoever. Alexa, what is the second largest county in the United States?
According to an Alexa Answers contributor, Coconino County, Arizona is the nation's second largest county.
Alexa, what is the first largest county in the United States?
Appearance of the first is Thursday, December 1st.
No. Alexa, what is the largest county in the United States?
The largest county in the United States is Yukon-Koyukuk census area, which is 145,494 square miles.
Presque Isle is the county. It's Presque Isle County. I don't know. Apollo took Brett to the moon. Oh, wait. That is Snowfall. Alexa, what are the top 5 largest counties in the United States?
From musictoday.com, that same report says that the 5 largest U.S. counties are Los Angeles County in California, Cook County in Illinois, Harris County in Texas, Maricopa County in Arizona, and San Diego County in California.
Okay, Alexa, is it your bedtime?
That depends on whether you're tired or have to get up early. It is recommended for an adult to sleep 7 to 9 hours a night.
That ain't gonna happen. Tell Brett that. All right, folks, we're gonna wrap it up here. I appreciate you being with us. Had a lot to talk about. I think in the coming days here, we're gonna have a lot to talk about, especially as we get closer and closer into Thanksgiving Day. the holiday coming in next week. We're going to be looking at a couple of different things that could happen. One is it's always bothers us a little bit is the fact that we could have severe weather coming in about then. So we'll be looking at that as we go through the rest of this coming week on Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday. Hopefully, Brennan here will have some voice back and he can be back on with us as we get into that point, and he can add some input here and there, albeit, most of the time it's off the top of his head and not very well researched. But after that, we're going to be talking about the possibilities of what's happening down into the Caribbean, into the western Gulf of Mexico, and is it really going to be much warmer? The way that the computer models were saying it was going to be, is it actually going to be a whole lot warmer when all that comes up and does take place? So we'll be looking out for all of that. Thank you again for being with us. Have a quick little thing that I put together here to show you how much I appreciate it.